Hey there, working mama. I am here to talk with you about my two main strategies I'm going to be using from my toolkits to help me get through this full on and full volume week. There's been a time change. It gets dark now at 5 o'clock, and we are on election day slash going to be moving a few bigger volume in terms of energy and information and emotions days as we go through the whole election week. My name is Kara Mayola. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a women's health specialist over 20 years now, and also the founder of Luminary Life Kits, where I share my favorite frameworks and tools with you so that you can move through the season of life with calm and vitality and feeling deeply connected and awake to your best self, moving in to your best life. That is my hope. So, big week. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a political person or have chosen to tune out or not pay as much attention to what's going on in the United States or in our culture, I would recommend that you still tune in and listen to this whole coffee chat with Kara conversation, because it's likely that someone that you love or people in your community or people in your play group, mom's play group, or in your kids' school are feeling the kind of energy and emotions and intensity that comes um, in our culture with this week. And so what the kind of the framework that I want you to be thinking about is that this feels like a lot right now because it is a lot. There's a lot going on. It's a lot to feel the uncertainty of where our government is going. No matter if the election goes in the way that you hope or not, you're probably still going to have a lot of intense feelings. And the work of being in a society and contributing to society and continuing to try to shape policies and programs and resources for our communities, that work doesn't start or end with the results of this election. So this election just stirs up a lot for us. And we're going to need tools that are going to help us through the next 3 days and in the aftermath, depending on how we're feeling with the results and depending on how our neighbors, our community members might be feeling about the results. So this is one of those times where I remind myself, like I just said, it feels intense because it is intense. And also, no feeling is final. And that rather than trying to feel better over the next 3 days, I would recommend that we move through our feelings better, that we adopt two strategies. Maybe I'm going to share them with you in a minute that maybe will help you to move through your feelings better. And so you can expect to have a lot of feelings over the next 3 days, but maybe you can also pair it with strategies that help you cope with those feelings effectively, bring soothing and grounding and connection within, and then will help get your nervous system regulated so that you can get your best brain online to help you move through the challenges one by one, day by day as they come. This is the thing, being a working mom with young kids, you're dealing with all of the things I just said, and also kids getting sick, kids waking up in the middle of the night, kids having a harder time falling asleep, your own personal challenges and struggles that you're working through. So, friend, you're not alone. This is real. This is when we need those next level ninja mental health skills that I'm going to offer you right now. So what I'm going to be doing to get through the next couple of days is number one, something called sensory grounding. So I'm going to be moving through my day choosing to one, stay awake to and connect to the sensory rich experiences that are inherent in it. And I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. And then two, I'm going to be infusing different specific sensory grounding activities into the mix to help me stay soothed and stable and resourced within. So for example, I'm going to be doing dishes today. I'm going to be doing laundry today. I'm going to be driving around after work and picking up my kid. I'm going to be making dinner. I'm going to be doing things that I always do in my day-to-day life. But I'm going to try to do them in a way that helps me to tune in to the positive sensory experiences available. So while I'm washing the dishes, I'm going to try to slow that moment down. And I'm going to feel the warm water. I'm going to feel the suds. I'm going to maybe turn on some music that's soothing and grounding for me while I'm doing it. Or maybe light a candle that has a fragrance that I enjoy. I'm going to kind of populate that normal everyday moment with a slowed down, sensory rich moment and let myself really feel the comfort of those, positive sensory experiences. When we do sensory grounding like that, it starts to signal safety to our autonomic nervous system, which is in charge of the way that you perceive things, the kind of stories you tell yourself or the thoughts that you have in your mind. Your autonomic nervous system is responsible for the way that you move through your feelings, and then also your ability or your willingness to connect. With yourself or with other people around you. So we can use sensory grounding as a way not to maybe change whatever's going on out there that feels really bad, but to change the self, change ourselves, change the way or the you that is showing up to that difficult thing. It makes all the difference. An example of kind of inserting some sensory grounding into the day could look like, uh, for me, it's going to look like doing some of my sensory grounding practices. So I have a hard time sitting still sometimes in the midst of intense time. So it really helps me to go on a walk. So I'm going to go on a walk and just turn off my phone for 5 minutes, tuck it away, and I'm going to do a walking sensory grounding activity. So, what that looks like is for about 60 seconds, I'm going to look all around and pay specific attention to the things that I can see that are beautiful or interesting or soothing or nurturing or novel. And kind of like ground myself in those positive things that I can see. And then for the next 60 seconds, I'm going to open my ears to the sounds in the environment. I'm going to listen to birds or the crunching of leaves or, chatter of people walking next to me or just anything that signals to me and my nervous system that I have a life that matters to me, that I am so grateful and lucky to be in this life. And even in a democracy that's complicated and difficult a lot of the time, I'm going to open my senses through my eyes, through my ears, and then maybe to smells for another 30 seconds or so. And then definitely my favorite thing is textures, like kind of go out and feel the pine bough, or if you're doing this through your garden, like lift a bulb or a bloom to your nose. If you're in a part of the country that still has some flowers going, reach out and make physical contact with your environment. Or if that doesn't feel right, I'll just like pace my steps and I'll really feel my feet into the earth and like imagine that rooting me and grounding me. So we're engaging with all of the sensory material that is soothing to us in the environment, and we're imagining it kind of like filling us up, fueling us, nurturing us and nourishing us and helping us get our like highest self, our best brain, our most regulated mind-body connection to the table so that we can move forward to the next little part of our day. So sensory grounding is my tool number one. I hope you'll try it today. Tool number two is taking a couple of intentional and strategic breaths that do have a powerful impact on the nervous system or on the mind-body connection. So I'm going to teach you one of those today. And I like to do this breath while I'm walking too. So I'll like pace my breath with my steps, and I'll teach you the cadence in a moment, but I pace my breath with my steps and I just do a few rounds of that. If you don't feel like going on a walk, you can do this breath in the car while you're on the way to pick up for your kiddos after work or after they're done with school. You can do it in the shower at the end of the day when you're kind of trying to de-stress and wind down a little bit. You can do this breath anywhere. Why I love breathing exercises is because they're free. You always have them with you wherever you can go, and you can pretty much do them at any time and any place. So the breath I'm going to teach you today is called a resetting breath. So in the, literature, in the clinical piece of this, it's called a physiological sigh, but I like to rename scientific things so that they're easy to remember. So it's a reset breath. You can do it no matter what nervous system state you're in, kind of any time, any place. And it's one of those breathing practices that some of the research is showing that you can even do only a couple of rounds of it, and it already starts to help to regulate and soothe and signal safety to your nervous system. So you don't need to do it for a long amount of time to start to reap the reward. So it's really practical in that way and powerful as well. So the resetting breath, you're going to think about this as a three-part breath. There's a two-part inhale and a one-part exhale. When you inhale, you're going to breathe in slowly, like maybe to a count of 4 or something like that. And then you're going to take a second inhale, like a micro burst of an inhale at the very top, hyperinflating your lungs. So it looks like this. And then you're going to exhale for the second part. So I'm going to talk about that again, and then I'm going to show it to you again. So the inhale, kind of just like a normal but full inhale, maybe to the count of like 3 or 4. And then you're going to do a second inhale, hyperinflating your lungs, filling up your body with like some vital life force energy. And then you're going to do the second part, or I guess the third part is a long exhale, maybe to the count of like 5 or 6. So your exhale, you want it to be nice and slow. And one way you can slow down your exhale is through pursing your lips, like you're blowing out of a straw. And so that's going to slow down your breath. So you're going to make that exhale just nice and slow and calming and grounding all the way to the end. So 3 parts, 2 parts on the inhale, 1 part for the exhale. First part, just slow breath in almost to full, maybe count of 3 or 4. And then second part is that second inhale, hyperinflating the lungs, going all the way full to the brim. And then you're going to exhale slowly for the third part through pursed lips, like you're blowing out of a straw, all the way down. And try to make that a little bit longer, if you can, than the count of your inhale. So on a walk, it would look like taking 3 or 4 steps as you inhale, and then maybe 1 or 2 steps as you hyperinflate your lungs, and then exhale for a count of 5 or 6 breaths. The exact count doesn't matter. You're just trying to like get that exhale a little bit longer, and you're making room for a 2-part inhale. That is the resetting breath. You can do even 3 rounds of it in between conversations, in between emails, in between meetings, and it will help to steady and nurture and nourish you throughout the day. And certainly, if you can take, maybe you can combine these tools together with me, mamas. Maybe you can take just a 5-minute walk around your office or take the long way to pick up your kids, like go walk around the building, get there early, and then, arrive to pick them up. If you can go out into a beautiful place in nature, do that. Of course, that'd be wonderful. But I wonder if you could take 5 minutes and maybe you start it with the resetting breath. Do it for a few minutes. And then if you need to take breaks with that resetting breath, you can just breathe normally and bring it back in as you'd like. And then maybe you can awaken your senses, tune in to the beauty of the world around you, the things that signal safety and stability and meaning and purpose to you in your life. And we'll use these tools as a way to make it through one part of the day at a time, one day at a time, until we get to the end of this week. And then we know where we're at. And then we can make our own plans of how we're going to move forward from there. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me in your phone today. Take care, and I'll see you again next week.